Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Warp Zone, where we take a look at some of the most interesting gaming news with always trying to keep more of a Nintendo Switch focus. Now, this week we're going to be talking about a bunch of stuff, but I'll be honest, and I know I say this every week, I do think this week the stories will go fairly quickly because there is stuff happening, but I would say Nintendo Switch wise, till the Switch 2 actually complete reveal trailer on the second, I do think things are getting, I don't want to say quiet, but samey. Everyone's talking about the same things over and over again. And now that Nintendo has finally unveiled when we're going to be talking about it, everyone's just waiting for the second. Let's be honest. But at the same time, there are still some interesting news that popped out from the gaming world with Nintendo. Number one, we're going to be looking at the new crossover with Magic the Gathering and Final Fantasy. And I've got to tell you, I freaking hate Wizards of the Coast because I swore that I would no longer play Magic. I've been jumping into Lorcana a bunch. But now with a Final Fantasy crossover and some Commander decks coming out, those mother effers might have actually gotten me to want to buy Magic the Gathering cards again, which is a little bit of a, piss off. But whatever. It is what it is. We will see. We're going to look at so far what's been revealed, so far. But if they do a whole set with a lot of cards, I might be stuck freaking buying some Magic the Gathering cards, which really sucks. It sucks in a good way and a bad way. It's sort of a combination of feelings. We're also going to be talking about the fact that apparently you can buy a Switch 2 now. Now, I talked about this a while ago because I was pretty sure that black market Switches were available. And it's so funny that the price I gave, if we go back like about a month ago to a month and a half ago, I was really not far off. I said that it was going to be at least 30 grand for a Nintendo Switch 2. Well, apparently it's around 40. So just telling you guys, that black market stuff is pretty obvious how much people were paying for it. If you're a company developing like software these are the only people that are worth buying black market Switches, but we're going to talk about that as well. I did want to go back on the state of play and take a look at some of the games that have now been confirmed coming to Nintendo Switch, because I do think there were three really interesting games that were confirmed and that we now know for a fact are coming to the Switch or Switch family at least. We're going to start talking about Switch family. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about that as well. And finally, without getting into political stuff, we're just going to talk about the effects of the possible tariffs on the cost of consoles in the future. Because for once, the three companies got together and actually banded together in writing a letter to, the U.S. government, not but the U.S. government, I'm Canadian, and asking them to possibly exclude consoles from the tariffs, because there will be possibly a real impact on an industry right now that is, let's just say, struggling. It's not the best time for developers. I do think Nintendo's still on a good pace and a good place, but let's say Sony and Xbox, especially from the development side and whatnot, it's already rough. So if on top of it there's they start struggling on the console production side and on the production side of actual physical products, it can be an impact. Because don't forget, we're talking about controllers, we're talking about all this is all stuff that is impacted. Like, we can say, oh yeah, the games can just be printed somewhere else. That is guaranteed. But the problem is everything around that, like controllers, consoles, that's what's up. We will talk. We can talk about the US-Canada hockey game, but dude, you do know there's a rematch coming, right? It is official now. There's a rematch Thursday night at 8 o'clock. It is the finals for the actual winner of the tournament. So let's just be honest. I wanted Canada to win Saturday's game, but that game was meaningless. The only game that counts is the one that's going to happen on Thursday. Because if we win that one, we are the champions. And when I say we, I mean Canada. The Canadian boys have got to pull it out. And yes, the 3 fights in 9 seconds. I was watching it live. Like, I was sitting with my beer in hand on Saturday night at 8 p.m. waiting for the game to start. And that was a whopping start. Definitely. But yes, so very excited for the rematch on Thursday. But yeah, and honestly, there were some pretty good fights. Like, sometimes fights can last like 10 seconds, but no, there was a couple of really good traded blows there. So it was actually pretty fun. Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, I'm going to say hi to everyone in the chat. A Squirrel, Frenchie Mom, Psychosis Media, hey, what's up? Neo Blitz, welcome back. Let me see if... Oh, Corey's back. Hey, man, Corey, what's up? We're talking Magic the Gathering tonight. Needless Dragon, welcome. So, without further ado, you know what? The intro's over. But I realized I forgot to grab a beer. Guys, give me 30 seconds. I need to wet my whistle tonight because it's been a stressful couple of days. So give me a second. It's not a Guinness. It's going to be a Fin du Monde tonight. End of the world. One of my favorite beers. I'll be right back. Okay, calm down, everyone. I'm back. Calm down, guys. We're still going. Whew. I ran for it. Effet du monde. I forgot to fill my Xbox fridge. I'm going to fill it up after. You want some brown sugar boba? You know what? The Xbox fridge, is it still running? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. We're good. Hey, Annie, how you doing? I think now we're ready. Definitely. No, it's not an IPA. It is I'm trying to think of the it's a triple I'm trying to, because I know it in French, but it's basically a triple brewed beer. It's not, because it's 9%, so it's actually a pretty strong alcohol beer. Okay. Anyway, we're not here to talk about beer tonight. We're going to start off with we're actually going to start off reverse. We're going to start off with the games that were announced during the State of Play last week. Now, I know we talked about it because I covered the State of Play quickly. We did talk about it also on stream, I think on Friday or Thursday last week, which, by the way, I have to, guys, let you know already that this week we are going to be streaming on Thursday once again. I'm working on Friday night, so we're going to have to stream on Thursday again. So I'm going to try and set it up Thursday night around 7:30-ish, like the same time as usual, but on a Thursday. We're going to be doing that. Because if I try to stream, like, I could stream, like, at Friday at, like, 9, but I'll be honest, after a day of work, I'm probably going to be out of energy, especially if I have to, like, finish work and within an hour switch to, like, stream mode. Probably not going to be the best stream ever. Like, energy levels will probably be lower than I would like them to be. I generally need a couple of hours to, like, turn my brain off from one thing to the other. Okay. But like further ado, like I said, I wanted to start out with looking at the couple of games that were announced during the State of Play. And we're going to start with my favorite one that was announced. This is probably going to be, like, for me at least, it's a major announcement. And that is Shinobi Art of Vengeance. By the way, brought to you by the people that brought us Streets of Rage 4. So if you're worried that this game is being done by a company that doesn't know how to handle retro games, put all your worries aside. This is probably, I've said it many times, they can pretty much do a masterclass on how to reinvigorate a retro franchise. And it's actually pretty crazy that they're taking another classic franchise from Sega and bringing it back to modern standards. And I have real hopes for this one. And I'm excited about the new Ninja Gaiden game, but I've said it before, like I'm a 2D fan. I can't help it. I'm old. What you want? I grew up with 2D games, and although I love 3D games, like a special place in my heart will always be reserved for 2D. So I'm much more excited for the 2D Ninja Gaiden and the new 2D Shinobi. And I've got to tell you right now, it's almost like we're living in a dream zone. And I know like it's going rough for AAA gaming and all that, but I almost feel like over the last couple of years, like we are living in a dream zone where I'm reliving the golden age of like the 80s and 90s with all these freaking amazing franchises coming back in good shape, like TMNT with Shredder's Revenge. Ninja Gaiden, that's going to be a freaking, I'm sure it's going to be amazing. Shinobi, Streets of Rage. Like, it is insane how good a person who can enjoy a retro style of game or just a 2D game, because I wouldn't even call this retro anymore with how beautiful the artwork is in Shinobi. But let's watch the trailer and then we'll talk more about this. And Topaz has been a pain in the butt, man. Like, I don't know what it is since yesterday, like since we were doing the cards, she's like extra aggressive of like wanting to sit on me. But I'll let her. I just want her to be like in a more like chill format where she's going to lay down. So let's take a look at the trailer and we'll talk about it more after. Like you can see the 2D action, yet beat 'em up influence here. Oh, hold on, guys, hold on. Audio's messed up. My bad. We're going to start this over. Apologies. Okay? Apologies. We're going to start this over. We need the music, because the music is amazing.
Forged to unleash vengeance. More than a weapon. It is the soul of a shinobi.
The soul of a shinobi.
Can stand in their way.
Oh.
Soaring where others would not dare.
Like the art style, you can immediately recognize like the Streets of Rage 4 influence here. Like it's pure the same overall type of art style, but applied like to a 2D action game this time in Shinobi. While having, I would say definitely more of like a Japanese influence, more of an anime influence than even Streets of Rage had.
This is the mastery of Shinobi.
Like Streets of Rage felt very comic booky. This one feels very Eastern, which is appropriate. August 29th. Like, no joke, guys. This is one we're going to be playing on stream, and I think that no matter what happens, this is one I want to finish on stream. I want us to play through the whole game. It looks freaking fantastic. And I'm just going to be honest with you guys. There's a good chance the Switch 2 will be out at this point. So just imagine this at 60 FPS on Switch 2. Like, take a moment to breathe it in, to feel it. It's like I said, it is actually insane. It's like I'm going back to being like 10 years old. I said it, you know, I like these games. I was playing these games when I was like between 8 and like 14. You know what I mean? Like that was like the period where like NES, SNES, Genesis were very strong. By the time I hit like 16, it was PS1 time. Like it is insane to think that we are like living through as a time zone where we're getting like these stellar, like triple A 2D games. Okay, I don't care. I'm gonna be referring these to like because this is it an indie game? It's hard to tell because it's coming from Sega, but it's being developed by like an indie team. So could we call it a triple I? Triple I for triple indie, like high end indie games. Maybe we could refer to more like a triple I guess. But still, it is amazing, top notch announcement. Can't wait till this one comes out. When this hit the state of play, I think that's why I was giving it such a huge rating on my side. Like I gave it like a B because they were going after my heartstrings. Now, when we watched this trailer, I said it was going to come to Switch to the Nintendo Switch, like even the first one, and I was right. So Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny is also going to be coming to Nintendo Switch 2, and we're going to actually be getting it in the month of May. Once again, I think this is going to be a game that will profit a lot from the kick up from the Switch 2. I'm pretty sure that a big developer like this is already probably has development kits, so they probably already have like a patch for the Switch 2 or whatnot. It's still up in the air how the Switch 2 is going to interpret Switch 1 games, but if there isn't a direct Switch 2 version, there's definitely going to be an upgrade file somewhere. But let's take a look at the trailer for Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny. This is a remake of Onimusha 2, so it's a 3D action game. Onimusha series is a great series for like hack and slash fanatics. Has a great, it has like a pretty good storyline to it as well. But let's take a look. So when we were watching this trailer, I said it's guaranteed this is coming to Switch, even though it wasn't like officially stated in the state of play. And yes, it is coming.
Which pierced his throat. However, Nobunaga was far from finished. With the help of the demons, he rose from the dead.
Yasuke! Who did this? For whom are you working? I won't forgive you. Prepare yourself!
Dude, Frenchie mom, yeah, for that death counter, like, there is no stop. I've started to think of implementing a penalty for myself when I die too much, to make it funny or something. But then I'm like, maybe I'll kill myself by trying it. And something that, like, meets the YouTube, rules. Let's watch the trailer, though, and then we'll talk more about that. Because, like, you can't say, like, oh, I'll take a drink of alcohol, like, every time I die, because, number one, I would just pass out if you play something like and two, it's, like, it's against terms of service. You can't, like, it's considered self-harm.
My name is Oyi. I'm from Odani.
Like, you can't purposely get yourself, like, uber drunk. Hey, Black Spiders, how you doing, my man? Welcome.
Time of peace.
You see? I will never be defeated.
Like I said, Onimusha 2 is a solid action game, so if you've never played one before, it's also, I would say, a good jumping on point, especially that we're coming out with a new one. I have a personal soft spot for Onimusha 3, though. I would really love to see that one getting a remake.
The cockroach is still alive.
Because on top of it, there's a, like, really well-known French actor in Onimusha 3.
It is the Yagyu clan
Jean
mission
Reno.
to stop the demons when they rise up to the surface.
If this is my destiny, I'll accept it. I'll be this Oni warrior, and I will destroy the demons. You will pay for this, Nobunaga.
So, like I said, solid action game. Not my favorite of the series, but a very strong entry. I had to go back and remember which ones I really, really like, because these are, like, much older games. And they sort of blend together, the Onimushas, but then I saw, and it's definitely Onimusha 3. But, yeah, so it's a great one. Now, I was thinking of something like every time I die, I have to do, like, 5 push-ups or something like that. But then I'm like, dude, if I die like 93 times again in a game, or 95 times, there's no way I can do like 500 push-ups. Like, I know, like, because they're short 5 push-up sets, I can definitely do at least like 150 to 200, somewhere around there. Like, because they're 5 push-up sets, like not 200 at once. But then I'm like, dude, if I get it to a game where I die like over 50 times, I'm gonna be dying. But yeah, so we'll see. Push-ups and sit-ups, that could be something. Yeah, I like, if I get like out of push-ups, maybe I can do that, or squats or something. Like, we can alternate, but I'm gonna think about it over time, because at the same time, it would make the stream so much slower if I have to stop every time I die and do 5 push-ups. So it's like, it'd be funny, but I don't think it's something you can do. Yeah, but I've got to set myself up where if I die a bunch of times, it's not that I can't do 10. I can do like 100 nonstop. But it's that if I try to do 10 per death, you know what I mean? It's like I sort of have to plan that in a game. Sometimes I might die like 30, 50 times. And yeah, but so Onimusha 2, another great game from the State of Play, coming to Switch. Very excited for this one as well. We didn't get a price. I'm hoping that they don't try to release it though for more than like $30. Personally, I would even say like 20 to 25 would be my soft spot for this one. The death counter for Laika was 95. I do think it is the biggest one I've had ever on stream. I do think. But like, we'd have to go back, because we used to not do death counters till Frenchie Mom just named herself the unofficial death counter and started counting it out. Her and Squirrel have decided that, you know, they're gonna both be the official death counters of the stream. But yeah, so definitely a great announcement. And then the third game is the one that I have this odd feeling that it's going to be great, but at the same time, it's really hard to tell from the trailer, and that is Darwin's Paradox, which has also been confirmed for the Nintendo Switch. So Darwin's Paradox, I said that I had this odd feeling that this game is going to be better than like it's not one of those trailers that you get up and scream like, oh my God, but it had a little something that I was like, I think this is going to be pretty good. So let's take a look at the trailer and remind why we thought that. Intelligent, malleable, damp. Uh-oh. And it's coming from Konami. It's being published by Konami. But like I said, it's a stealth-based game at points, and, you know, like, if there's one thing that I like playing, but I also hate playing, is stealth-based games. Just because they frustrate the heck out of me. But in a good way. Like, it's a good frustration. But I'm sort of more of like an action dude. I like to beat my opponents, not try to sneak around them. You know what I'm actually getting vibes from here? I'm getting vibes from like Inside. I don't know, have any of you played Inside? I'm getting vibes like that. Or whatchamacallit, the one from the one where you play like these kids being chased by the huge monster adults, and I have like a blank now. The third one's about to come out. Help me out here, guys. You know how good I am with game titles. You know, where the kids, Little Nightmares. Thank you. Exactly. I don't know if you guys are getting that type of vibe. Like, I'm getting that type of vibe where like the humans are like trying to like eat and kill, you know what I mean? And you like have to skip around them. And this is very complimentary, by the way, for the game. It gives me Little Nightmare vibes, like Inside vibes. Like, it's going to be like this mix of stealth and puzzle solving. And this is super high praise because those are two series that ended up being like, I love them. Even though they do force you into that stealth type of gameplay, they do it in a way that is very fun and interactive. And by the second one, there was combat, like in Little Nightmares especially. Yeah, it makes the game tense. It creates a tension. You're right. And that is something very positive. So that is the third and final game I wanted to cover that was announced in the State of Play. So I do think it was really fun to see a State of Play with stuff that was actually coming to Switch. A lot of people didn't like the State of Play. I actually liked it a fair bit. I do think maybe hardcore Sony fans were disappointed because PlayStation Studios needs to like start working on something big. Like PlayStation Studios like needs to start working on something big because like right now I feel like PlayStation Studios themselves are sitting on so many major IPs, but those IPs are not moving. I'll be honest, I'm sure there are games in development now that we do not know about from those studios, but the development cycles are so long right now that I think Sony needs to start thinking about plans for those like their big franchises to put out games in between the two that maybe are not as big, but not a Lego Horizons. Like Lego Horizons was not the move here, okay? I actually think that Lego God of War would have worked way better than Lego Horizons. Like if they wanted to pop one of their franchises into Lego, it should have been Lego God of War. I do think that would have worked insanely well, as opposed to Lego Horizons, which was actually a pretty fun game. We played it on stream. It was pretty fun. It was pretty decent. But I think Sony needs to do more of that, where they take their major franchises and they put them into games that they can sort of fill the gaps with. You know what I mean? Because if you have like 5 to 6 year development cycles on your God of Wars, well, I'm sorry, there needs to be something else in the franchise in between those two major releases. And they used to actually be really good at this with the PSP. If you remember back in the day with God of War, in between like God of War 1, 2, and 3, we got like 2 PSP releases, which really filled the gaps. Sony needs to go back to that. Not necessarily with developing for a handheld, but developing maybe with, you know what? You could go back to an old school God of War, like a side, you know what I mean? Like offshoots of God of War with the older style that I'm pretty sure they can get a really decent studio to work on that isn't a major endeavor that you can pop out probably one game a year or one game every 2 years in your secondary, like in those major franchises, but in a secondary fashion. Even, you know, maybe popping into like an indie studio and having someone come up with a really awesome like 2D or roguelike concept with God of War. Like honestly, I always thought like God of War could actually be a really good top-down roguelike in the Hades style. You know what I mean? Like obviously you don't want just a copy of Hades with God of War characters. I'm just thinking about the overall style would really fit into that as well. Pretty good. And I think development cycles on those games could be a lot shorter. But overall, you know, it is what it is. I enjoyed the State of Play. I think hardcore Sony fans maybe didn't enjoy it as much because they didn't get like their hardcore franchises. And look, I used to be a big Sony fan. Up until PS3, I was like a PlayStation first guy on consoles. It was really the Switch that brought me back to Nintendo. The Switch brought me back to Nintendo, and I always had every Nintendo console except the Wii U, which I never officially had while it was in like out. But it wasn't what I would have considered to be my like primary system. Welcome Necro Dragon to the Necro Dragon 316. Welcome, thank you for subscribing. I don't know if you're watching the stream or watching a video, but thank you so much. Very appreciated. Growing the family is always important. So that is pretty much, I think, what I had to say about that. Now, let's move on to, I think, one of the funnest but most piss-off announcements that I've had in a while. Let me just digest this. As I said earlier, Magic the Gathering is doing a crossover with Final freaking Fantasy. Look, they almost got me for Lord of the Rings. But back then the cards were not like standard playable. So I wasn't like really into it, but in the near future, all these offshoot series are going to be standard playable. But yes, we are going to be getting a Magic the Gathering Final Fantasy crossover with Magic the Gathering cards based on Final Fantasy. I told myself I was not going to play Magic anymore. I sold absolutely all my cards, including my commander decks. I sold everything like a month ago. And I started getting into Lorcana. And look, I'm not going to get out of Lorcana. Don't worry, Corey. Still going to be into Lorcana. But they might actually convince me to get this set. Does that mean I'm going to play Magic again? Maybe not. But I will most likely get the collector sets or the commander decks of Final Fantasy and probably just keep the cards in a permanent all-time collection. And I might actually just do that for Magic. Not play anymore, but collect like these special crossovers that are really like too cool. And have a commander deck if I want to play every now and then. You know what I mean? And we actually got a sneak peek at some of the cards. Now, this is from IGN. So IGN got a sneak peek at some of the Magic the Gathering cards, which is actually pretty freaking cool. So we're going to look at the cards. We're going to talk about them for a few seconds. For people that don't know, I used to play professional Magic. Like, when I say professional Magic, I used to do the circuit. I only got like ranked like top 100 players in Canada, but I never went beyond that. So like, I'm saying professional, just I played a shit ton of Magic, okay? I played since I'm 12 till about 36, so 24 years of Magic, where I was playing on a weekly basis, doing the tournaments and all that stuff. Then I basically stopped playing. It pretty much COVID killed my Magic, because I play online, but I really like playing with physical cards. Like I like playing in person with physical cards. I met a lot of my longtime friends playing Magic, like people that like I would consider really good friends playing Magic. So like Magic to me wasn't only about the cards and the game, it was also about the people. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, so many weird people play Magic. But to me, it's like, nah, man, like so many people that I would have maybe never on a personal basis hung out with, I got to know through Magic and ended up hanging out with and becoming really good friends. And the barrier to that was broken by playing Magic together. You know what I mean? And even I would say some people, the first games, I was like, man, this guy's being way too... Because I was in tournament, I'm serious, but when I'm playing Magic, like for fun, I'm like very not serious. I don't care if I lose or win the game. Obviously, I try to win, but I don't really care if it's not like a serious tournament. And some people take like every game super seriously. So sometimes I remember players I would play with and I'm like, dude, this guy's like way too intense for like a random like Friday night Magic game. But, you know, they're playing like they're in like a PTQ, man, fighting for a spot at Nationals. And but then after playing with the guys for like 10, 15 times and they see how laid back I am, they would become laid back. We would get to chatting and you would become friends, which is like that awesome thing. And some other people I just, you know, automatically became friends immediately. I think of Vince that used to work at Carta Magica in Montreal. I would have I'd honestly, best guy I ever knew in the industry. And however, if it would not have been for Magic, I probably would have never talked to him. Like, because right off the bat, like we had nothing in common, but then we both loved Magic and we got to know each other and love things together. So anyway, I'm done with the Magic love stories. Okay, it's just like I find that. Yes, it's way easier to be in your boxers and play a game of Magic like on Arena, but oh my God, there's something about playing with the physical cards and playing with the people that I missed and that, you know, I'm sort of enjoying now with Lorcana. Holy shit. Champ bet me that Canada. I don't see him bet me anywhere. Where did he bet me? He just said hello. You're just trying to start shit, Wild One. You're just trying to start shit. That Champ bet me that the US will beat Canada in hockey. Dude, I think me and Champ can't talk for a while. It's better that me and him just like not talk for a little bit till the game's over and behind us. But yeah, no, I'm joking. So let's take a look at the cards. So enough of the Magic love. Let's take a look at the cards, and we can interpret like if they're good or not. Now, Trance is a new ability that I'm not aware of because, like I said, I was out of Magic for about like 5 to 7 years. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, mill 2 cards. Terra gains flying until end of turn. So I guess that's her Trance ability. It's that you have to mill 2 cards. But there might be the keyword Trance might have another definition that I'm not aware of. Whenever Terra deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2. When you do, return target creature with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. That's actually could be really powerful, especially if you have enter into the battlefield abilities on your creatures. I could even think of right away like immediate combos where as this creature enters, like create tokens of creatures that do like crazy shit. So definitely could be a very strong card. And obviously being more of a commander style card, the fact that it's 3 colors is going to be a lot less problematic than like a standard playable card. But Terra Herald of Hope, pretty interesting card. Now, Cloud is probably one of my favorite ones. However, he costs a shit ton. He costs 5. Cloud, 5 for a 4/4 is actually pretty bad on the cost meter, I would say. But he does have haste, so he can attack and tap the turn he comes into play. And his ability is off the charts, though. When Cloud enters, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to it. Whenever Cloud attacks, draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control. Then, if Cloud has power 7 or greater, create 2 treasure tokens. So, just to be clear, some equipment in Magic is really busted, and the way that the equipment is sort of controlled is by its equipping fee, how expensive it is to equip. Cloud can basically equip it for free. This is going to break some equipment. By break, I mean it's really hard to break something in Commander, because Commander is a format that is sort of open to broken combos. But just to say, one of my favorite cards, not only is it one of my favorite characters of the whole Final Fantasy franchise, but his ability can be really powerful. I'm just thinking right away, like you have a couple of swords, like Swords of Light and Darkness or something like that, or Fire and Ice. It's something like that. Like the exact name's not coming to me, but it's going to be pretty insane. They're based around commander decks. However, I heard a rumor that all these special edition cards will become standard playable. The only problem is he's 3 colors, so these are going to be really hard to fit into standard decks. Then we have Titus Yuna's Guardian, also that was revealed, a 3/3 for 3. See how much better this is cost-wise? At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may move a counter from target creature you control onto a second target creature you control. And cheer, whenever 1 or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. So proliferate basically means increase the number of counters on a creature by 1. So you basically give them like a second counter of whatever counter they already have. Now, this, once again, feels very powerful. And I love Titus. I love Final Fantasy X. By the way, I forgot to say, the cards are going to be inspired from Final Fantasy 6, 7, 10, and 14. So they're not going throughout all the Final Fantasy franchises. They're really taking from 7, 10... 6, 7, 10, and 14, which honestly, overall, are probably the best Final Fantasy games ever. Like, I think if I had to make a list of my favorite, it's pretty much that. With maybe Final Fantasy 9 coming very close, and Final Fantasy 8 being, like, right behind Final Fantasy 9. Then we have Y'shtola Knight's Blessing, which is a 4-cost creature, a 2/4, and Topaz just hit the arrow key. At the beginning of each step, end step, if a player has lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card, which pretty interesting. But 4 life can be pretty hard to get on a consistent basis. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. Ah, okay, I get it. So it basically synergizes with her second ability, which is actually making it a little bit better. But, I mean, it's going to be hard to synergize with twice per turn, so you're definitely going to have to be doing damage to that same player. Oh, but it's each end step. So that's where it becomes in... Oh, wait. No, I didn't interpret this right, because don't forget that commander games aren't always one-on-one. They can be they can be, like... You can play with 3 players, 4 players, 5 players. And because it's at the end of each end step, and it's not if you dealt 4 damage, it's simply if the player lost 4 life, that means you could be drawing on each player's turn. That's actually really freaking insane. And then basically we have some screenshots of like what the commander decks are going to look like. So for each one of the cards revealed, they're going to have individual commander decks that you're going to be able to get. I didn't see pricing, however, for them. And there seems to be collector's editions of the same decks, which I'm wondering if they're going to have different cards or just like extra foiled editions of the same cards. But that will be answered at later dates. I do just still think that this is actually really cool. I do agree, however, that Magic the Gathering has been sort of, I don't want to say desperate, but they've been doing crossovers that are, like, some are good, some are bad. And I do think they need to, like, focus more on their competitive play, because that's also why I got out of Magic. It's that they started focusing really on, like, casual play and not really, like, catering to people. Like, the high-end play backs up the casual play. Like, what makes a casual player go crazy with Magic is the dream of one day playing, like, high-end play. There are people that just enjoy casual, but there are, like, most people that I know were playing because, like, they really wanted to become high-end players. And I think that if they go too far from that, what's going to happen is eventually when the current generation of Magic players are going to sort of age out of Magic, that's where they're going to hit a really big problem. Because I do think that the next generation of players won't buy as many cards simply because the games aren't, like, competitively as viable as they used to be. Dude, I used to spend each set release, I spend $1,000 on cards. Like when I was playing competitively, but just so you understand, having the cards day one was a must. Being able to build any deck that you needed to was like a must when you're playing competitively. Because as the metagame shifts, you have to adjust. So basically when a set would come out, I would buy a case of booster boxes. You know, which is like 6 booster boxes, which were like back then like 130 each. And then I would buy the cards that I didn't get from those booster boxes or that I couldn't trade for. But like that's because I was competitive, you understand? Like, just to understand, a normal player should not be doing that. But back in the day too, there were only about 3 to 4 releases per year. Sounds like a lot, but it's because I would make more money from tournaments and selling cards than the $1,000 that I would spend. Because, like, just a normal PTQ has a way bigger prize than $1,000. So, and not even for, like, you know, even, yeah, I made money. And I would sell and trade cards for money-wise as well. And when I like, because I would draft every week, like sometimes you would just open up a pack and open up a $50 card. And since I already had my play set, I would just sell the $50 card. So like as the season went along, I would generally end up profiting off of the $1,000. And then basically don't forget that when cards cycle out, I would sell to collect like everything I had from the previous set that is cycling out, because I only played standard. So I would sell the as standard cards cycled out, I would sell them all. And sometimes I would choose like specific times. Like sometimes I would sell some cards before they cycled out that were at a high value, that were about to cycle out, and that would start losing value once they cycled out. I was actually good, like not like at video games. F you, bro. Yeah, seriously, Wild One, you're fishing for a timeout. Can I actually time you out? Oh yeah, I could time you out, man. That would be funny. I'm not gonna do it because I'm a nice guy, but you're almost deserving of that. Okay. Now, let's move on to our next story. We've spent enough time reminiscing of Magic the Gathering and all that stuff. But it was like a great time. Like, I would say like a great time. It wasn't maybe the greatest time of my life, but it was definitely like up there, like my hardcore Magic days, which were like in my late 20s. Late 20s were like the Magic, like I played since I'm 12. I started getting to it seriously around 20, but like around 25 to like 30, I like crushed hard. And then from like 30 to 35, I kept playing, but I reduced a lot. But look, it was crazy because I used to go to tournaments and I used to have to, like, my wife, I would bring her along with me and I would have to pay everything for the weekend. Like, I would have to pay the hotel room, the meals and everything so that we could go to the tournaments. And she would, you know, because, like, she's like, I'm not going to let you go away to tournaments like every 2 to 3 weekends and like just stay home and take care of the kids and nothing. So like I would have to bring everyone along with me, pay for the hotel rooms and pay for them to go do stuff while I was doing the tournaments. So it was pretty freaking funny. It was good times, but like that's what started costing too much money. It's having to pay for everything else. He called it. Oh man, whatever. Well, they would be doing other stuff. They would come see me at the end of the day, at the end of the tournament. But they would like just be in whatever city we were in, like visiting, because you know, they were like, you would have to travel to different cities to follow the tournament circuit. So they would get to visit cities while I was just playing Magic. Yeah, exactly. They'd be shopping. Okay, let's take a look at our next story. So this was leaked on Reddit, and apparently a Chinese Canadian model, which I found really funny that it was a CAD is Canadian, okay, model leaker. Oh no, I think they're talking about CAD model, the CAD models. My bad. I just reread it and I'm just like, holy shit, I read this wrong. Chinese CAD model leaker. So it's the guy who leaked the CAD model. The CAD is basically the 3D art program for like that you can use to create or design objects in 3D. Shows a screenshot of his DMs with a black market seller saying that the price for the Switch 2 dock, Joy-Cons, and tablet will cost him $39,780. Now, I said it, guys. If you guys were here about a month and a half ago, and we were talking about when, even before, when we were talking about the, my God, the, where, it wasn't Nixie, it was Genki showed up at the conference with their boot and a fake Switch 2, and they said that they bought one on the black market. Do you guys remember how much I said that probably a black market Switch would cost? I was saying that would easily be like around 30 grand. And you can go check the VODs. That is what I said. It would easily be 30 grand to buy one on the black market. Was I wrong? No, I wasn't. I was even underestimating that it would cost up to $40,000. And that's where I said that the only people that it's worth buying a black market Switch is if you're going to make money from buying it. So people that are creating accessories, people that are maybe need like a dev model for it, but don't have a close enough relationship with Nintendo to get an early dev kit, for them, it could be worth buying it. But for a regular person, completely useless. Because there's no, like, you're going to pay $40,000 to get a Switch 1 month early and not be able to play any Switch 2 games. And most likely, any of the current Nintendo Switch games, there are no patches to make them run better on the Switch 2. And on top of it, if you put your Switch online, Nintendo will probably block it. And that Switch 2 is going to go dead. And you paid $40,000 for it. Like, completely crazy and out of sync. But like I said, is it surprising? If you're a worker in a Chinese manufacturing factory, probably making very low wages, and you can steal a Switch 2 and sell it for $40,000 US, which is probably years of salary for you, obviously someone's going to do it. They're going to try to not get caught. But you only played $15K for yours. Joltsy Clayton, you're saying that you have a Switch 2 that you bought for $15K. I don't want to say it's not true, but I am strongly doubting it. Strongly doubting it. But if you did, hey man, great deal. Sell it back for 40 and make the 25,000, and then just buy one and when it actually comes out. Like, no joke. If I had one that I got for 15,000, I would immediately sell it back, make the 25,000, and then basically just scalp the Switch when it comes out and sell them back for double and make even more money. Guys, it's all about the dollar bills. So you got to make money, you got to turn money into more money. So you take your Switch 2, you sell it, you make $25,000. You take that $25,000, you wait till the actual Switch 2 releases. You buy out as many as you can, and then you scalp them for double price. And you turn that $25,000 into $50,000. Boom. Guys, we just made a plan here. Make it USD. Exactly. Well, this is all USD I'm talking about, man. I've been here the whole stream. You've just been quiet in the corner, Annie. I've seen you chat a couple of times. I'm sorry, I didn't like. I tried to answer a few comments here and there, but yeah. I hope you're getting. How are you feeling, Annie? Man, by the way, like I know we haven't checked in. I know you've been here for like each and every stream, but we haven't checked in. But how are you feeling lately? Are you back up to like 100%, or you're still like 75, 80%, or hopefully you're getting close to the 100. Where would you put yourself, like on the percentage scale, if you had to choose? I'm gonna play Dr. Rick for a sec. On a scale from 1 to 10, how bad is the pain? I'm sorry to hear that. You are a trooper, man. You are a trooper, and you're here for every stream, man, and that is super appreciated. So, man, love to see you here. Wow, still an 8. Wow, that's pretty bad. Like, to me, 8 is close to crippling. So, like, that is freaking awful. Is your daughter keeping you company and keeping you good? Physical therapy can be a biatch. Okay, guys. Anyway, hopefully I can distract you for a couple of hours when we're streaming. Take your mind off of things and you can enjoy it a little bit. Give me just a sec, because Topaz is about to throw my Lorcana cards off the table that we opened yesterday. Oh my God, Topaz, yes, I love you, but you're like being extra extra painfully annoying tonight. Good job, Topaz. Yes. Topaz, use meow. Right? Use meow. Like she's like, she meows for me to take her, then I take her and she's like, no, I want to leave. Hope things get a lot better soon, Annie. I wish there was more we could do. You know, that's the problem with like. That's the problem with everything is you always want to help everyone, but you know there's only most of the time you have to accept that there's not much you can personally do other than, like I said, trying to be a source of entertainment. So I will be your official clown for tonight. Okay, keep you distracted. You're royal jester, so you're the queen of the stream tonight. Okay, but anyway, I just found this extremely funny. And I can't actually believe that people are paying $40,000 for a Switch. Like I said, as a business perspective, for someone that needs a jump on things, it can be worth it. Like, imagine you're an indie developer and you managed to release one of the first indie games for Nintendo Switch 2 because you got like an early Switch 2 as a dev kit. That could actually be fantastic. But other than that, definitely not worth it. It is crazy to pay $40,000 for a Switch 2, especially because I think it's going to be out within the next like 3 to 4 months. I said it. I do think that May is actually a possibility. And there's a few games, and I forgot because I wanted to list them, that there's more and more games coming out in May where I'm like, oh man, if this is coming out with the Switch 2 on it, because the Switch 2 is coming out at like close to the same time, this would be actually amazing. Like I said, I still think that Doom Dark Ages could be a launch title on the Switch 2. I still think that Doom Dark Ages could be a launch title. And we could find out about that on April 2nd. Because like I said, April 2nd, we most likely won't get the full lineup, but I do think we will get a few surprise games shown running on the Switch 2. And I think Doom Dark Ages could be one of them. You're late to the news, champ. We've already talked about it. Thursday is the day Canada whoops the US's ass. That is what's going to happen. It is Team Canada up. There we go. Okay. Last story for today, and like, let's not get into a political thing. It is just simply like interesting nonetheless. You know, I think as gamers, this is going to affect us all, so it's good to be important. And there's actually some good news to the bad news. So it's not pure like, oh, tariff bad. But so let's look. This is a story that brought to us by Nintendo Life, but I do think it has an interesting, nonetheless, possible implications. So let's take a look. So earlier this month, the current U.S. administration implemented an additional 10% tariff on all goods imported into the country from China. Now, while the full effect of this increase is yet to be seen, it poses a potential price hike for consoles and accessories developed in China, which naturally is a cause for concern for both consumers and developers. Now, acknowledging this, Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa has said that the company is looking into the potential impact that tariffs could have on the upcoming financial year and the launch of the Switch 2. So as reported by Reuters and translated by Nintendo Everything, Furukawa explained in the press conference that the company is predicting various geopolitical risks and establishing ways to respond. Now, what Nintendo did say is Nintendo is not only manufactured in China. Furukawa also noted that it is manufactured in places such as Vietnam and Cambodia as well. So basically what they're saying here is that since they don't only make Switches in China and that currently the tariffs are impacting China, they could always take the Switches that are manufactured from Cambodia or from Vietnam, and those are the ones you could be getting in the US to basically avoid the tariffs on those specific Switch systems. Now, that is good news and that is bad news, because I'm just going to give a secondary perspective to this. Most likely, the majority of the manufacturing power is in China, not Vietnam and Cambodia. So what that could actually do is that if they prioritize the Cambodia and the Vietnam Switches for the US, that could actually cause a unfortunate, like basically it could be, the US could actually be getting like the short end of the stick, in the sense that it'll be harder to get a Switch in the US, because Nintendo will only send them the models that are produced from those two countries, which is most likely the countries that are manufacturing less Switches than China. So it might actually mean that Switch 2s might be harder to get in the US than, let's say, Canada or the EU or basically everywhere else. The Switches made in Stefan Moran says the Switches made in Cambodia are the ones they sell on Temu. Not exactly. I'm pretty sure they have the same quality. It is simply countries that offer cheaper manufacturing costs. Okay, but it's just simply because we know that the biggest production units for Nintendo are in China. But I've got, like I said, I've got always some good news to go with the bad. So we're going to talk about that later. Let's just finish the article. But I just want to note that could cause basically problems actually getting Switches to the US, since they might refuse to send some from China, because Nintendo's not going to want to eat the extra cost for the ones sent from China. And they can't start selling Switches at two different prices in stores for the ones that are coming from China and the ones that aren't coming from China. Okay. So with many Switch consoles already imported into the US by the tariffs come into effect, Furukawa suggests that there should be little financial damage this fiscal year. While we anticipate a certain impact, the influence on this year's financial results is expected to be minimal. Obviously, the financial year, by the way, for Nintendo is ending in March. So for them, this financial year is not a problem, because all the Switches that they're probably going to sell is already imported before the tariffs are applied. So obviously, goods that are imported before the tariff date aren't subject to tariffs after that. Okay. Now, the president didn't comment specifically on the 2025-2026 and the launch of the Switch 2, though there's every chance that the impact may be greater. Obviously, he's giving the good side of the story, not the bad side of the story. Now, Nintendo did expand its manufacturing operations outside of China in 2019, when the proposed tariffs once again threatened to drive up prices. So just, we've said it from the beginning, tariffs will drive up prices for the consoles. In a rare display of unity, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft joined forces to pen a letter to the US government warning of the tariffs' negative effects on the gaming industry should console sales not be exempt from the increased taxes. So the three major manufacturers all actually got together, which is extremely rare that Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony all signed off on the same thing. But they basically all signed up together to say, guys, don't do this. But obviously, this is happening in every industry. But I'm just saying, for gaming, which is already very hard hit on the development side, the fact that consoles could be harder to get is just going to hurt it further. Because people can't buy games for a console they don't have. And if you don't sell games, then developers are going to start going out of business even more, and they're going to cut jobs even more. Now, the letter led to a successful outcome for the companies in 2019, though 68 years later, no exemption currently seems to be in place. We'll have to wait and see just now how minimal of an impact the increase will be on consumer spending. Now, I said there would be like a sort of light at the end of the tunnel. Don't forget, guys, that for the first time ever, if this is applied in a major way, and like I said, I'm not getting into political stuff, just we're going to work around this as consumers. If it is applied, for the first time ever, you might actually see a Switch being more expensive in the US than it is in Canada. Or them almost being at par, although the Canadian dollar is weaker. So what all that means, and the consoles might be way more available in Canada, because if Nintendo doesn't want to send them the Chinese versions, the Chinese manufactured models, and you guys only get the Cambodia and Vietnam ones, what that means is other markets will most likely be flooded with more Switches than usual, which they will be easier to acquire in other countries. So for anyone who lives in the north of the country, you can just cross over to the border, buy your Switch in Canada with a stronger US dollar, and bring it back to the US. Now, it's going to be rough for people on the southern part of the country where you can't just easily do it. But I'm just going to say that personally, anyone that is like from the Midwest and higher, a quick planned trip to Canada could be not that bad. Yeah, the VAT is horrible. So you're not going to want to go to the EU to pick it up, but Canada could be an option. You know, gotta take one. I've got to give us a little bit of praise when I can, because normally we pay more for everything. So for once, we might actually be on par. But let's be honest, the overall best scenario is that they could get an exemption, which would actually make sense because it's already a struggling industry within the US. To hurt them further and to cripple them further would be rough. You know what I mean? But yeah, bro, stop watching the news, LOL. What's up, man? What are you talking to me or are you talking to it's called flight points. Oh my god, man, don't start with the 51st province, 51st state, man. Don't start with that stuff. Like I said, I didn't want to get into the political stuff. We're all for the most importers, because don't forget, Nintendo's not the one that's setting the prices. The importers are. Most importers aren't going to want to eat the loss. And Nintendo's going to sell the consoles at the same price. And the import companies in the US that are selling the consoles have to. So if Nintendo says, dude, we're going to sell you the Switch for $250, sell it for $350, but then GameStop has to pay 25% tariff on it, GameStop isn't going to sell the console losing. Nintendo's not going to have the power to do anything about it. That's what's up. Yeah, but it has nothing to do with Japan. It has to do where the console's manufactured, NDJ. Tariffs are applied based on the manufacturing country, not the country that sells it. Either way, I'm not like, I don't want to get into the stuff. I can guarantee you, I don't want to get into it because I work in finance. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They're applied on the area of manufacture. If you read the tariff things, just like a U.S. car, like Ford, that is manufactured in Canada, you're gonna have to pay the tariffs on it. Like there are Ford cars that is a U.S. company. If the car is manufactured in Canada and then transferred over the border, you have to pay the tariffs on it. That's why the industry here in Canada is going crazy. I'm just letting you know, like that's the way it works, and that's why it hurts, because basically very rarely is a console manufactured in the same country that's selling it. Like Sony has their TVs made in most of them in China, so you're gonna have to pay the tariffs on a Sony TV, even though it's a Japanese TV, because they're manufactured in China. And I'm just telling you because I'm Canadian, and that's why our industry is going crazy about, like, especially for car industry. And I work directly related to I work in finance related to the car industry, like hand in hand. No, I'm telling you from my company. Like, we had a meeting where we were coming up with plans on what we're gonna do because there's gonna be issues with that. Like, I'm talking, like, I can't say the name of the company I work for and stuff, but I'm just telling you, I understand that, and I understand that, but I'm just saying that everything that's manufactured in China is going to go up in price. And the manufacturers aren't the one eating the bill, it's the importers eating the bill. So the manufacturers aren't going to change where they're manufacturing it. It's just going to make the prices go up to the products. Just like right now, the car companies aren't going to change. It's the cars that are going to go up in price. Like, because it's basically the salespeople that are selling the cars in the US that are going to have to raise their prices, because the company here is going to keep selling it at the same price, but they're going to have to pay the 25% tariff. It's possible. It's happened before. Like, games cost more in the US than they do in Japan. I'm not trying to be a dick here. I'm just telling you reality. Games are cheaper in Japan than they are in the US, and there's other countries in the world where they're cheaper than the US. They sell them for more in the US because they can sell them for more in the US, because the US has a bigger market and every other company is selling for the same price. But anyway, I'm all good. Like, I don't want to get and I'm not trying to be a jerk either, but it's not. But I'm telling you, it's not the news, dude. Like, just the funniest thing is ask Grok, ask Elon Musk's own AI how tariffs work. Like, and I just did this with a friend who was like not believing me of how tariffs they work, and the AI itself will tell you that in 90% of the cases, the end consumer ends up eating the tariff. And that's Elon Musk's own AI that will tell you that. Like, ask them who actually ends up, like, ask it straightforward, who ends up paying for tariffs, and he'll do like the whole analysis thing, and it'll tell you, yeah, we're gonna stop. Don't worry, we're stopping. It's just like I said, I was talking about this not at all from a political perspective. I wanted just to say, like, guys, if it's more expensive, just buy them somewhere else, and hopefully this isn't gonna happen, because for the industry, it'd be better if it didn't. We're done. Yeah, I know. But I wanted to talk about it like purely from a different perspective, and we're gonna try to steer away from those subjects for the near future. Yeah, no, I know, but and I know you're not taking it that way, NDJ, but I think some people that might listen to the VOD or whatnot will take it that way, and I've said it many times before. You know, it is what it is, and. But yeah, so and that's what I'm saying, and I'm just saying, you know, unfortunately, a lot of companies you might see increases temporarily or whatnot, but we'll see how it works. Exactly, VOD watchers can't read the chat, so but we're good. Okay, guys, we're good. We changed subject. That was the last story for tonight. For the story section, we're gonna get to the new games, but. And DJ, by the way, no hard feelings, man. You were very, I wasn't getting angry, wasn't getting anything, because you were being very polite in the chatting and whatnot. I'm just saying that for me, we're good. Okay. Awesome. So, like I said, let's get into the new games for this week. So, guys, if this is your first time here for this section, as usual, I do like a little fake intro, because this will become a video tomorrow. So if I do a little fake intro at the beginning, a little fake outro at the end, we will basically, it's possible, Joltsy. It's possible. I don't think so, because it's not Nintendo's history, but it is possible. It could happen. But they could sell it cheaper to the things, but 25% is a lot. I don't think they would eat the whole thing. So they might eat a portion of it, and it won't be as bad as expected. But like I said, we all good. We will see. We will see. Don't worry, there. And like I said, I'm gonna leave it there, because we're gonna get into we're gonna get it. We're gonna keep going. It could be as well. That could be another solution as well. Yeah, like I want to talk about the video games. Like it's all good. That's what I said. We're we're all good, man. We're talking about the video games. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys beforehand. We're gonna look at 9 games for this week. For once, we have absolutely no major franchises. These are all like indie games. So it's a really weird week. Okay, it's a really weird week. This isn't the fake intro. This is like for you guys to know ahead of time. It's like a really weird week. I still think there are some really fun games, but it really is a weird week this week where there's like nothing that is a major franchise. There are a couple of games that look really fun, but to be honest, I'm wondering what we're going to play on Friday. Okay? Because like I can see one game that I would want to play on Friday, but it could also be a really good time to play one of the games I missed over the last few weeks, like Guns of Fury or my God, the stupid the mouse game there, the Game of Thrones mouse game. Give me a sec. Tales of Iron 2. My God. And I do agree with that, Squirrel. I do totally agree with that. And the problem is I've talked about it too much lately. I've talked about it too much lately and I should have known that like coming back on the subject again, but I wanted to take it from a different perspective. But like I said, we're good. I'm not gonna get. I just played like I actually reviewed it NGJ. I don't know if you saw on the channel. Like but yeah, and I do agree. And like I said, I do think that I'm trying. I always have and this is just in general. We're not talking about the subject again. I always try to have a very neutral perspective. I do think I've always been very fair in my evaluations of everything. And obviously, I'm going to have some biases because, want to or not, I live in Canada. But at the same time, I can understand that the United States citizens are going to do what's good for the US first. However, I do also think that running a country is different than running a company. And you can't necessarily apply the exact same tactics as you would to a company because the fallout if you fail is way bigger. So there is a danger from that some people don't see the difference, like, and I'm talking leader-wise, between running a company and running a country, and there are major differences. But I always try to be extremely fair, and I try to put as little personal bias in stuff as I can. And I think I've always been very fair with my evaluation of, look, I'll say his name, Donald Trump, okay? Because personally, I don't not like the guy. I used to watch the freaking, the Apprentice all the time. I used to love the freaking Apprentice and whatnot. And I think, and I've said it many times before, I never judge an action based on the person doing the action. I always judge each action individually as the action itself. So someone who I don't like, who does a good action, I can still say, dude, that was a really good move. Just as much as a person that I really love, I can also say, I really don't like that move. And the same thing with Donald Trump. There are some policies that I'm not agreeing with right now as an outside viewer, but I'm not American. So I always, and I've said it many times before, I don't feel comfortable judging the actions of another country because obviously from my perspective, I want what's good for me and for my country. And so I can't judge I can't judge another country's actions from my viewpoint. I have to put myself in the pants of someone from that country that are seeing the actions. That said, I can agree and disagree with the actions individually. And I mean, I do think that overall there are a lot of wins And there are a lot of failures on both sides. And, and like, if I just name one personally, like, stopping to waste money on DEI is a super good move. Now, do I think they went too far and they're like eliminating DEI policies and going after companies that would choose to have DEI policies? Yes. But to stop wasting money on that, super agree, because I personally agree that it's a waste of money. I think that it's something that will happen naturally, and that access to the equality and stuff will come through natural like integration of just respecting people and their choices and whatnot. So you don't need to artificially promote it. Okay. And I think it is a waste of money for countries and for governments to put money into those things. But so super good move. Bad move for me, what he's trying to do in Gaza. Canada, I don't really want to talk about because, like I said, it's very hard for me to be unbiased. So I think I'm not the best person to talk about that. I just think that the impact is going to be much more severe than expected. Yeah, they're uncovering a lot of wasteful things that were done. I do agree. Do I agree with shutting down the whole thing and like everything? Maybe not. Maybe a cleanup would have been better. Because, you are affecting like a lot of workers for something that, if tomorrow morning someone just said your job doesn't exist anymore, you'd be pretty pissed. So I do think that like in destroying the agency, they didn't think about the normal people that work for the agency that didn't have decisional power that are losing their jobs. I don't know if you agree, like you understand. I always said, think about the decision from the people that are being affected by the decision. So you see, and that's why I said I evaluate each action independently, and I can see that the wastefulness of US aid and getting rid of that stuff is very necessary. But yes, but like, could you have maybe found a job for the, like, I agree that the people in charge of the programs needed to probably lose their jobs and not have any kind of like severance or whatnot. But could have the normal guys that were working that had no decisional capacity and were just employees there maybe could have got like a package or got taken care of? Because it's not your fault that your boss is doing crappy stuff. Do you understand what it? And that's where I was like, ouch. Like, you know what I mean? You're like, you're making a decision, but you're not taking care of the normal people. 6 months pay is okay. It's just not like, like it is not the same as like saying, look, we'll find you another job in the government or another job that you can, but it's fine. Like, like I said, I'm thinking of the little guy in the companies. Like, the people at the top should definitely lose their jobs, and you can dismantle the organization, but either way, I still think it sucks that they just lost their job, because think of if you lost your job tomorrow morning and you had 6 months, like the pressure you're gonna feel if you have a family, if you have stuff and whatnot, and that's all. So political part of the stream is done. Okay, now we are officially ending it. Boom, for tonight. That doesn't mean we can't talk about it again in the future, but for tonight, political part is finitos. Okay, focus on the new games coming out, guys. Okay, new games. Perfect. So, like I said, fake little intro, fake little outro. You don't feel pressure, man. You'll take a flight to the Bahamas. It's all good, man. Load up the credit cards, take a flight to Bahamas, and then just don't come back. Leave the kids at home. No, and I mean, it's happened to other people too, and stuff. It's happened to like a ton of industries. Think of all the people in gaming being laid off. It sucks too. Like, all that stuff always sucks. And like I said, I always think of the little guys who suffer sometimes for the decision of their bosses. Because, you know, like, let's be honest, the people in charge of gaming, like, if we just started to talk about the layoffs in gaming, often the people that are responsible for the decisions that made a game fail aren't the individual developers and guys working on the game. And the worst is often the guy at the top winds up getting like a golden parachute, or he gets a job somewhere else, or doesn't get laid off. But all the little people under him lose their jobs. God dang it. Wait, we have a birthday? Whose birthday is it? It's past midnight. Whose birthday is it, Corey? Oh my God, it's Rice Star's birthday. Awesome. Rice... I would love to see a new Rice Star. I would love to see a new Rice Star. And I've said it many times before. Actually, I think Sega is one of the companies that is listening to... Okay, they were doing it before I said it, but they are doing a nice move. I love the fact that they're handing their franchises to talented indie developers that are reviving their franchises. Like Shinobi, like Streets of Rage. And I've said it before, Nintendo should do it as well. Some of their franchises that they don't have time to develop internally, they should hand off to talented indie developers to make the games for them. Because honestly, they have too many high quality franchises that are not. Yes, I would love to see a Mario Brothers 4 done in a full retro style. Look, we got very close to it with Mario Wonder, which was an amazing, like 10 out of 10 Mario Brothers. Okay. But imagine a actual old school Mario Brothers 4 done in like an 8-bit art style, or you know what I mean? Like a actual Mario Brothers 4 from the NES, or a Super Mario Land 3. Well, it's because we'd have to look at, because they did weird stuff with the Super Mario Land franchise. So I'd have to look if there's already, because like Yoshi's Island might be Super Mario Land 3 and Mario Land 4. But you guys get what I mean. Like a new Super Mario Land and done in a 16-bit art style would be amazing. A real Super Metroid in 2D, not 2.5D. I actually really like Metroid Dread. I'm going to be honest, I really like Metroid Dread. And I do think Nintendo did a good job of trying to revive those franchises in a retro style. I just think that they could cash in even on top of it, and games with also a budget price point. I said it before, the one thing we lost with the Switch, when we went from like the hybrid console to having a home console and a portable, is that we lost the budget Nintendo franchises that used to come out on the portable consoles. Like, I don't know if you guys remember, but Pokemon was like a $30 game. It wasn't a $60 game. Like, while the SNES was putting out like games at like $80, $100, the Pokemon games would come out for $30 because they were the portable games. You guys get where I'm going with this? It's like, they had two franchises at once. Now Nintendo's selling everything for $60. And look, for them it's more money. But we did lose that like budget Nintendo, those budget Nintendo titles. Which you prefer the one on the 3DS? Well, there's one. There were two on the 3DS, right? There was Metroid. Oh my God, what's the name of the remake of the first one, basically? Metroid, was it the first one? Or was the remake of Super Metroid? Oh my God, I see the box art in my head. Samus Returns, yes, exactly. So it was the remake of the Samus 2, exactly, Metroid 2. Thank you. I was going to say. Yeah, Golden Axe, man. I can't wait for another Golden Axe. The only thing is they seem to be going 3D with Golden Axe, which is a little disappointing. I would have rather Golden Axe stayed pure 2D. But we'll see where they go with it. Anyway, okay, guys, we have to do the new Switch games. We're going to talk more about all this stuff at the end, okay? We always have like a cooldown section at the end where we can chit-chat about all the other garbage. And like I said, it's going to be only gaming, okay? let's get into the new games for this week because we have to get this going. So, hold on. We're just going to drop this for a second here. So hey everyone, and welcome back. So it's time to look at the new Nintendo Switch games coming out for this week. Now I've got a lineup of 9 games coming out for this week, and I've got to say it's a special lineup because this week actually has no major franchises releasing any games. There are pretty much 9 indie games for this week. However, hopefully there is something that's going to tickle your fancy. Tickle your fancy is awful. We're going to restart that, man. Woof. Tickle your fancy is definitely not a expression I want to use in a YouTube video. I'm like, can you see I'm old sometimes? Tickle your fancy, man. Yeah, man. Like, it came out and I was like, whoa, vomit. Vomit. Okay. The worst is up until then, it tickled your fancy, man. It's like a super old expression that my grandma used to use and that, like, I picked up over the years. Not pickle, tickle. Tickle your topaz. Okay, so we're going to restart that. Hey, it's first time I ever have to do a retake on this. Yeah. So hey everyone, and welcome back. So it's time to take a look at the new Nintendo Switch games for this week. Now I've got a great lineup of 9 games coming out this week. However, at the same time, it's a special lineup because there's actually no major franchises releasing a game, and they're pretty much all indie games. So hopefully you'll find a game that you'll enjoy for this week. Just remember, if you are liking the video, to hit that like button. Yeah, not too bad. Way better. Yeah, tickle your fancy. You guys can make fun of me. You guys can make fun of me all you want. Made him mess up. Nah, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't make me mess up. We all good. Rick's first death tonight. Definitely. Okay. Now, anyway, it's way more sort of casual talk, so it's not that outro or anything. Ugh, don't start, Frenchie Mom. Do I have to do 5 push-ups now? Is that it? I have to do 5 push-ups? Okay. Let's get started on the games. Honestly, this first one looks pretty fun. Rick managing to die during the warp zone. Exactly. I've actually managed to die while not even playing a game. Tickle your Rickle. Okay. So our first game for today is going to be Godzilla Voxel Wars that is releasing on February 19th. So there's a good chance by the time you're watching this video, the game might already be out, or worst comes to worst, coming out tomorrow. Now, this game will be selling for $14.99, and it's actually a level-based strategy RPG featuring none other than Godzilla in a pixel art form. It actually looks super interesting. I really would like to try out this game. However, I do have mixed feelings on whether it will deliver a long-term satisfying package. So let's take a look at the trailer and then we'll talk more about the game. So as I say always, if the trailers do end up getting muted, it's simply because there is copyrighted music. You can check out all the links down below for the full trailers if I do manage having to mute some. Personally, I love strategy games as well. It all depends on how deep it's going to get. So basically, you have to defeat all the enemies within a set number of turns or you fail the level. So it doesn't really feel like Godzilla is going to be at risk of dying all that much. It's more like you have to figure it out within a certain level, a number of turns. We also have guest characters like Mothra, Mechagodzilla, all the best ones from the old movies. and once again, map editor. Pretty interesting overall, which is why I said that I have a fair deal of interest in this game for this week. So I do think if you're a fan of strategy games, you might want to wait for like a first impressions video or a quick review or something like that. But I do think this one could be a pretty decent pickup. And $14.99, if the game offers, I would say, above like 4 or 5 hours of good, fun gameplay with an increasing challenge level, could be a pretty decent pickup for this week. One thing you'll see that I'm liking about the list of games this week is there's actually... the pricing is actually pretty decent. Nothing is going too crazy or too expensive. But Mechagodzilla can definitely be a consideration for this week. Now, let's jump into our next game. So next we have, my pronunciation is probably going to be all over the place, but we have Desvelado, which is coming out on February 20th and will be selling for $9.99. Now, the game does have a pre-release discount currently of $8.99. Now, this is a sort of puzzle precision platformer, but I am in love with the art style. It has a really awesome little art style behind it, and it seems to have some pretty comedical cutscenes. So let's take a look at the trailer and you'll get a better idea of the gameplay. So it's a vampire that you have to get him to bed on time, apparently, by turning out all the lights. Don't worry, we're going to be getting some gameplay. Like I said, I love the art style. It looks so super funky, and it actually seems also to be very fluid in the motions. And it's actually been a while that I haven't been like enticed by a precision platformer or precision puzzle platformer. So Desvelado at only $10, once again, for the beautiful art style it's presenting, the levels that look interesting and varied, I do think this one could actually deliver a pretty satisfying option for someone looking for one of these games. And like I said, it's been a while that we haven't had a really good precision platformer that's sort of, you know, above those like really cheap $5 like rehashes of older concepts. So I do think that this one could actually pierce that veil and give us something really decent for this week. So hopefully it will deliver. We can always, once again, I'll say it repeatedly for this week, but I would say every list, a game almost on this week's list, you might want to wait for a review or at least a first impressions video or gameplay or something like that, just to make sure that the games do deliver on a pretty decent experience on the length side. Now, let's jump into our next one. Next, we have X Out Resurfaced. Now, this is the remake of a retro shoot 'em up. It was originally released like 35 years ago. However, it's been remastered, and I actually really liked what I'm seeing. It's coming to us from In as well. They remaster a lot of shoot 'em ups. I'm not gonna lie. This is like the company that has a shoot 'em up every almost 2 or 3 weeks, but every now and then they really remaster a pretty great one, and this one just might be it. Now, by the way, this one is also coming out on February 20th. It will have a sales price of $19.99. However, it currently also has a pre-release discount, dropping it to $17.99. Let's take a quick look at the gameplay, but it's pretty straightforward. It's a shmup, a shoot 'em up. If you like these games, I do think this is it looks like a pretty good remaster, and I've actually never played this one before, which also sort of got me interested. That's the retro version, and that's the modernized. It's obviously set in an underwater type environment, but I really like that you can actually personalize the ships. I don't know if you guys saw, I'll show it again at the end of the trailer, but you actually get to select like weapon selections with the different ships, which is actually something I really like, and not every shmup allows you to do. So unfortunately, we've got like some overlays because obviously this is another YouTube video. So we're going to stop here because we're not seeing much. But like I said, what really got me interested is this screen here, where you get to be able to choose between the different submarines. You get to choose between the different cannons, upgrades, satellites. Basically, I really like shmups that allow you to personalize your loadout because I think it makes a huge difference. And it adds that little extra touch of replayability that you really need for these games. So once again, if you're looking for a retro style shmup, I do think that at $20, this one could be a pretty decent pickup. It is a little bit expensive. I said that most of the games this week would be properly priced. I do think this one would have had to be at the $15 price point because the shoot 'em up market on the Switch is so jam-packed with titles and titles that are really aggressively priced that this one is maybe a tad too expensive. Okie doke. So with that out of the way, let's jump into our next one. Now, our next one is my biggest question mark for this week. It is Star of Providence. Okay? And I actually have two trailers that we're going to look at because basically one trailer is like a standard trailer and the other trailer is a release date trailer, but it's really weird because it's like the guy was streaming it's like he took basically a caption from his stream and just announced his release date on his caption of the stream and turned that into a trailer. But I want to show you this one, and basically it's another shoot 'em up. However, this one is a roguelike shoot 'em up, and it's being published by the same publisher that brought us Animal Well, which definitely put it very high on my radar. Animal Well is an absolutely amazing Metroidvania, and the fact that they're now publishing their second game ever, Star of Providence, has me extremely interested because the company sort of like it is worth now taking a look at all the games they're releasing. Hopefully it's going to be another hit, but let's take a look. The game looks super interesting. It's a shmup, but it's set in very small arenas. And like I said, it has a rogue-like gameplay style. I love the pixel art as well. So that is the first trailer. We're going to look at the second one because, like I said, it was so weird and funky that I definitely wanted to look at the second one because it's pure like he pulled out a part of his stream and said, let's make a trailer out of it.
That's coming out. It's coming out. Let me kill this guy. It definitely is coming out. Oh, shit. This guy's an asshole.
This is the trailer.
The game is definitely coming out. When does it come out? You know, that's a good question. Let me play this part, though. This is a really good weapon. When does the game come out? Well,
and I find it actually gives some even better view of the trailer. February 20th. So, like I said, I do think that this one is looking really interesting. And although I really like the previous retro shmup, if I had to buy just one for this week, I would go with Star of Providence. And that's also why I said the other one felt expensive, because this one is probably has even more original gameplay and it's being sold for only $14.99. So honestly, I do think this is going to be a great, a possible great game. I'm going to say possible great game, okay? But the fact that it's coming to us from the publisher that gave us Animal Well, let's just say that this game is extremely high on my probable list for gameplay on Thursday this week. Sorry, the stream is going to be on Thursday, by the way, not Friday. But Other than that, we will have to wait to get that game in hand to make sure. However, there is another game that is challenging for my Thursday night stream, and it is the next one we're going to look at, which is Ninja Isen, which is releasing this one also on February 20th, and it's also going to be selling for $14.99. Now, this is an action platformer that, yes, looks extremely challenging. So, I know a lot of my stream likes to count my deaths and see me die. This seems like a game that that if I do play, I will be dying a ton. But at the same time, the gameplay looks extremely addicting, fast-paced, and very interesting. And I do think that if you're into action games, this is going to be probably the front runner for this week. So let's take a quick look at the trailer, and we'll talk more about the game. Like, it's giving me slight Cyber Shadow vibes, but obviously with a much, like, less polished pixel art, if you will. I'm also really liking the cutscenes. I know it's only cutscenes, but I find that pixel art cutscenes in these retro style games really make the games. It started with Ninja Gaiden, the original on the NES, and I love games that just bring it back with those high res pixel art cutscenes. This is a fairly longer trailer for this week, but it's worth it because, like I said, the further it gets, I think the more funky the gameplay looks. I love this boss fight. So, Ninja Isen, the Scroll of Dimension. Yeah, I forgot that little under that subtitle there. It's the Scroll of Dimension. Releasing on, like I said, the date here isn't correct because this is a Steam release, but on Switch it's going to be February 20th for $14.99. I think if you're into action games, this one is definitely worth the attention. My chat is telling me to stream this one, please, just because they want to see me die a freaking bunch. But there is a slight chance as well. I just want to throw it out there for anyone watching this that is interested in watching a stream. We might also be playing Guns of Fury because that game came out last week and it seems so amazing that everyone, I've had a lot of comments asking me to play it for this week. So it is very strongly a consideration on my list. Okay, so we have that out of the way. Next, we have another really interesting release for this week. And I would say it's probably my second top game potential-wise for this week. And that is Jupiter Hell. So, by the way, my top game was the one we just saw. This one is probably the one that has me would be second on my list. The shmup that we looked at would be third, the one earlier, the one that came from the Animal Well developer. But this one is called Jupiter Hell. It's coming out on February 20th as well. The only thing I don't like is the sales price of $24.99 feels a bit high for the game. But this is basically a Doom-inspired turn-based action game that has a roguelike gameplay system once again. But it is turn-based roguelike, like the traditional roguelike genre. I love the top-down perspective as well, and I love the gritty sort of combat style that, as they said, is Doom-inspired. So let's take a look at this, and like I said, we'll talk about it more. I love turn-based strategy shooters. It just feels right. It always reminds me of XCOM. Even though this is probably going to be a very different like gameplay style, it still reminds me of XCOM. So the trailer is not all that long, but we can definitely see some really good gameplay. Now, I'm really scared this one I'm going to have to mute the music because it does feel like this is going to be a copyrighted song. But I love the gritty, violent art style. And I think if they can pull off the, roguelike genre well, the turn-based and strategy gameplay, this can end up being a really great title. Once again, I would say wait for a review, however, because I am a bit worried that possibly the action is going to get samey, but I think they're going to deliver. I'm betting on them delivering, but I would still say wait for a impressions video or at least or a small review. Okay. Next, we are getting to one of my most endearing games of the week. It is called Marin's Day. Sorry about that. Marin's Day, which is also releasing on February 20th. Now, this is going to have another budget release price of $9.99. Now, this is an old school RPG that seems very much based on the original Pokemon type aesthetic. So it is a Game Boy aesthetic game. And if you know me, you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I have a soft spot for Game Boy inspired games because I used to love playing my Game Boy as a kid. I played Pokemon for hours nonstop. So when you got a good Game Boy style game, you got me immediately, and especially that they're using, like I said, a Pokemon aesthetic, although it seems to be like a more casual RPG with only some slight combat. But let's take a look at the trailer, and this is going to be a hit or miss trailer for most of you. If you have interest, I think this trailer is going to hit home. If you don't, you're just going to be like, next. I think you can see the Pokemon inspiration here. It's not a direct one-to-one aesthetic for Pokemon, but you can definitely see that it's the same overall setup and the way the gameplay plays out. Even when you're going to see the combat, although it's your character doing the combat, the positioning will be the same and whatnot. You'll have some puzzles to solve, which, once again, throwback directly. I just think it's going to be a bite-sized adventure that's going to be extremely satisfying, although I don't think it's going to be a very long game. Oh, and here we see the combat, but they're giving us all, once again, we see a bit of the combat here at the end. So you get to choose actions, and then, like I said, it looks like Pokemon-like combat with your two characters here. And we're getting a lot of overlays tonight, but it is what it is. Here we can take a look at the combat without the overlays. So you have your two characters positioned like Pokemon, combat style. They choose an action, you choose an action. Like I said, I think it's going to be one of those games that if you have interest, it's going to hit home very, very hard. But I would say it's a budget release for this week. This one has it's hitting me. I have a very high interest for this game. I would like to try it out. It's not going to be a stream game, however, but it most likely will be a game I will try to play on the side. Now we have 2 games left for this week. Our before last game is Lone Fungus. Now Lone Fungus is releasing on February 21st. And it'll have a sales price of $19.99. Now, this game is an action Metroidvania. Now, this game looks extremely interesting. I like the art style. I love the mushroom designs. I don't know what it is about mushrooms, but mushroom designs always get me. There is one thing I do want to mention, however. If you've been watching the channel since the beginning of the year, we have been receiving so many high-quality Metroidvanias that I was a little bit hesitant to put this game on the list. Not because it doesn't look good, but I don't think that this will be a Metroidvania on the same level as something like Ender Magnolia or Laika, or even what did we play before that? That was amazing. We played another one right before that that was crazy amazing. But basically right now we are getting some stellar Metroidvanias. So I do feel it hard to suggest this game if you haven't played all those others, because they are so freaking fantastic. Okay? However, if you've played those other games, or if simply you're just really enticed by the art style here, it could be a strong suggestion. The one thing I would say as well is this one's being sold for $19.99. Personally, if I was going to spend that price, I would buy Ender Magnolia at $24.99. Like, it's very in a price point where it's competing directly, and even Laika is, if I'm not mistaken, $19.99. But nonetheless, the game still looks extremely interesting. Let's watch the trailer, and it gets better as it goes along, because like I said at the start, the combat seemed a little straightforward and too simple, but as the trailer gets further on, the combat will develop. Obviously very much Hollow Knight inspired in its combat method. The map seems pretty complex. See what I mean? Like, this platforming section really impressed me. Because at first, like, the movement seemed a little simple, but then this part really started to impress me. But it's obviously very Hollow Knight inspired. Like, just jumping with a slash like that is almost exactly like Hollow Knight. Yeah, so like I said, I decided to showcase it because there were some very impressive parts to this trailer. And if the game performs well and hits well, it could be a very, very good game. However, the one thing I would warn is that before spending $20 on this, look at the other Metroidvanias that came out this year. We are flooded with amazing Metroidvanias right now. So the one thing I would say is if a review doesn't come out and this doesn't hit like a 8.5, 9 out of 10, check, because since the beginning of the year, we've easily hit like 3 or 4 9 out of 10s or higher. And yes, even 9 Souls, which came out at the end of last year, amazing chef's kiss of games for the Metroidvania genre. So, but nonetheless, Lone Fungus, definitely on my radar. I will be keeping an eye on this game. And worst comes to worst, this will be an inclusion in eShop. If it turns out to be a good game, this will definitely be an inclusion in eShop deals once it gets like a little bit of a discount. Okay, and our last game, but not our least, at least hopefully not, we have Lulu's Temple, which is also releasing on February 21st. And this is the most budget game for this week because it's a price of only $4.99. Now this looks like a pixel art adventure game, 2D action adventure game. I really like the art style. I really like the presentation. The budget price is worrying me because although like I love to have a game cheap, when it's $5, I am worried that maybe it'll end up being a bit generic, and that's why it's maybe not more expensive. But at the same time, it could just be a developer trying to release a game at an extremely low price to make their mark, to get people to try the game, to take a chance on it. Sort of like Hollow Knight did with their game, because $15 for that game was an absolutely steal of a release. But let's now look at Lulu's Temple, and we'll see what we're dealing with. Like, the action seems frantic and fast. The whole, like, fact that the whole screen is always blacked out except the section right around you definitely has, like, its like it creates a sort of tension, in my opinion. But like I said, I'm loving the art style. It's a pet peeve for Darkness. Yeah, I can see some people though not liking it because of that very same fact. And there we have it, Lulu's Temple. So I do think, however, if you're looking for like a budget title to take a chance on, this one could actually deliver some pretty crazy quality for only $5. Like, it's hard to hit lower than a $5 price point at full price. And from the pixel art that we're seeing here in the action, if the game manages to deliver a good feeling gameplay, like where the controls are responsive and everything, this could actually be a hidden gem for this week. So that was our last game with Lulu's Temple. As usual, I want you to let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this week's games. Which is your top choice to pick up for this week? Also, maybe you think I missed out on a game that I didn't notice releasing for this week. You can also leave that in the comments down below. I'll check it out and maybe include it in a future week's video. But as usual, I hope you enjoyed the video. And my God, I messed that up. I'm having trouble tonight, man. Okay, I'm going to recut. We're going to redo the whole outro. My bad. And I'm like repeating stuff that I don't want to repeat. So that was pretty much it for this week's new games. Now, hopefully you found one or two games that you're going to enjoy for this week. Let me know in the comments down below what would be your top pick. At the same time, if you think I missed out on any games for this week, let me know in the comments down below as well. And as usual, I hope you'll... Oh my God, what the hell? I'm so bad. Yeah, and then I saw Frenchy Mom gifting the 5 subs to mess me up. But thank you so much, Frenchy Mom. But I know you did it to mess me up. It's okay, because we can redo it again. We can redo it again. One last time. I'm going to wait for the subs to go through so that they don't keep popping while I'm trying to talk here. So welcome to the members. We have one that was gifted to Nathan Pearson, another to Cranibal, another one to Scooney, RY51, and Brian Vegas. Welcome, guys, to the channel supporters. We have one more to go. We have RY51 and Brian Vegas. Actually, 2. There we go. Ah, you messed me up. Okay. So that was pretty much it for the new games releasing for this week. Let me know in the comments down below what would be your top pick for games in today's list. Oh my God. See, now because I started messing up, I'm like stuck in my loop of messing up. You see? You see? This is what happens when I'm recording, guys, and we're not streaming. I get stuck in a loop of like messing up like one thing, and half of my recording is stuck on like one little like description or something. Okay. So that was pretty much it for this my God. That was pretty much it for this week's of great new Switch games. So let me know in the comments down below what would be your top pick for this week. Also, if you think I missed out on any new games for this week, once again, let me know in the comments down below. Now, don't forget on the way out to hit that like button. And as usual, I hope I'll see you in my next video. Oh yeah, I got it that time. I got it that time. I did like miss out on one word, but you know what? We'll take it. We'll take it. Like I sort of stuttered there on one word, but we all good. We all good. I'm not redoing it another time. We all good. But seriously, like I said, this week is a really weird list of games. It's like a really weird list of games, and I would say like I said, my top runners for this week are Ninja Isen. Like Ninja Isen is definitely one of my top runners for this week. Star of Providence is definitely another one. That's the like I said, the shmup from the same publisher. It's not the same developer, I think, but it's the same publisher as Animal Well. Now, the problem is this is only their second game publishing, so it's hard, there's not enough dots on the line to yet know if they're like always going to hit with their games. And Jupiter Hell has me extremely intrigued. Like I said, Jupiter Hell has me very intrigued for this week. It's one of those games where, like, I don't know, I just feel like it's going to probably end up being way better than most people are expecting. But Mystery VN's visual novels, yeah. Like I said, I generally skip visual novels unless they're from a franchise that I really, really know. Because visual novels, like, to me, they're always so hit or miss. Like, and I just picked up, like I said, for $5 a bunch at GameStop. I haven't had a time yet, but I find like visual novels, it's really dependent on whether you connect with the type of story or not. And it's really like, it's really hard to judge because also I feel that we're getting dished out a lot of cheapo visual novels on the Switch right now. But yeah. Look at demo of 100 Line Heroes Last Defense Academy. Okay, let's just grab this playthrough really quick.
Hey!
Is this a visual novel? Because I'm not seeing any gameplay. Oh yeah, here.
Come get it! Rev it up!
Okay, so it's like a strategy RPG.
Here we go.
The Lone Fungus is a sequel? Or are you saying the one that's coming out on Switch already has like a sequel on Steam or something?
My turn.
Okay. There just seems to be a lot of storyline. Like, a lot of talking.
To protect our beloved.
I'll check it out when I have a little bit more time, maybe off stream, champ, because, like, this feels like it's gonna be, like, it's gonna be a little, hard to get. The Lone Fungus sequel. Do you know what it's called? Like, is it just called Lone Fungus sequel? Like, Lone Fungus 2 revealed. Oh, so there's actually a sequel coming out to the Lone Fungus game. Okay. Oh, Yeah, I see what you mean. So this game came out on... So Lone Fungus must already be out on Steam. Let's go check out the reviews, okay? We're going to do that really quick after. But yeah, so they're... Okay, so basically Lone Fungus 1, they went really with like a Hollow Knight style. And this one, they're going with like a Castlevania style. I see what you mean. Let's go see if we can grab some reviews. Steam, 611 reviews with very positive. We might have a really good Metroidvania on our hands again. Like, I'm always worried when there's like only like 16 or 30 reviews for like little games, but 611 means like, you know, I don't think this guy paid for 611 really good reviews. Hey, did anyone go see Captain America? Captain America Brave New World? Because I'm wondering, I did not go see it on the weekend just because we had such a crazy snow day on Sunday. We were supposed to go, but like I've had like really mixed comebacks. Like I know IGN gave it a 5. I saw Frenchie Mom's like IGN a solid 5. But Coffee Talk? No, I didn't. I haven't played Coffee Talk actually. No, I know, but it's just it made me think of IGN gave 5 to Captain America, and I'm really wondering. I want to talk to people who've actually seen it that I know, like Champ says Coffee Talk is a good visual novel. French Mom. I know a lot of people talked about it and said it was good. I just like visual novels. I really pick my poison. And I try to grab visual novels that are about like games or franchises that I like the Batman Telltale series or something like that are like sort of hybrid visual novels. Or like the Lone Wolf series that is like, once again, like almost like a hybrid visual novel. But yeah, it like I really try to pick my poison. So Coffee Talk, I'm not sure I'd get into the storyline. Like, you guys can see when I play, like, when there's too much dialogue and stuff, it gets me annoyed. So the dialogue has to really be quick-paced and meaningful, which is why sometimes visual novels can be, like, eh. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying there's a problem with visual novels. My personal taste. Not my cup of tea, necessarily. Oh, my God. But yeah, so like big question marks. Lone Fungus is going to be most likely a really good game, which is pretty decent. Oh my God. I have to order my Lorcana cards too. I still haven't like set them, like divide them up by colors, rarities, and all that. Anyway. It's 1:15. You know what, guys? I think I'm gonna go. Not because like I'd like to stick around, but I said it yesterday. I've had like a lot of late nights in a row, so I really want to like try to pump up the energy levels so that tomorrow we're gonna get out the video for the new Switch games of the week. But I also really want to get a second deals video because the first one, the one from yesterday, is really not doing well. And I'm not saying that because like don't go and watch it a second time just for that. Like don't. That's not why I'm saying it. It didn't do very well. So I like to jump straight into another one when that happens. To like sometimes the algorithm just like I've been a little bit slower on the deal videos because I've been focusing a lot on the reviews and other stuff. But now I feel like maybe the algorithm's like slowing down on suggesting my deal videos. So I want to pump out like a second one really quick to try to like capitalize on the other one. So I'm going to try to get that done like hopefully Wednesday-ish. But yeah, I'm going to get some sleep for tonight. Thank you all for showing up and awesome chat, man, guys. And like I said, I really do, as a closing thing, I really do want to talk about like political stuff and all that stuff when we have a chance and it fits in. But I do want to make sure that if we do that, I want you guys to know that like we can talk about that stuff, anything, as respectfully as we want. But I do want to keep it respectful in the sense that, you know what I mean? Like, I will give my opinions on things. You guys can give your opinions on things. And at the end, we can agree to disagree on certain things like that. But, and I don't think tonight went everywhere, but like at one point, maybe, yeah, we needed to move on to another subject just because we were like going down a rabbit's hole of like the news is saying this and that. And like I said, we, sometimes we can't get into everything, like, especially because like I said, job wise, like I have some like information, but I really can't get into it because it's company policies and that stuff. I'm not supposed to talk about my job on social media, so it's like one of those things that I can't get fired just to prove a point. But yeah. So peace out, guys. It was an awesome time, and hope I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay? Have a great one, guys.